What's up, guys? It's Steven here from Powell's Power Ups, and I wanted to show off my new side blades. So on all of my crossguard installations, I used to use the Proplicator side blades, but I wanted to branch off and do my own thing. So I searched the internet for different kinds of flame and fire STL files. Couldn't really find what I was looking for. Tried printing some test ones. Wasn't really happy with what I got. I remembered way back there was a time when I first got into crossguards, people were trying to do side blades with Christmas decorations. They were actual icicles that they had taken the lights out of, and they were trying to install LED strips in them, or just, you know, the old school in-hill LEDs. And they looked pretty good. So I thought, hey, I'm gonna look online, see if I can find an icicle, you know, STL file or a 3D print or a 3D file. And I found these, and they looked really great. They obviously needed some work on their shape and how thick and thin they were. I had to hollow them out. I had to add a part here, you know, that goes into the emitter itself. And I printed them, and they look amazing. I'm super happy with them. So I will now be selling them shortly after this. You'll see there's an install video where I showed how to install them. And you can skip all the way to the end of that if you want to see them lit up and kind of get a look of what they look like lit up. But before you do, listen up real quick. So these are made of a squishy TPU material, so they are super durable. See, like that? They're clear, almost reflective. This size right here I'll be using in the video is for a KR crossguard. It's 7/8 inch diameter, and then the blade itself that sticks out of the emitter is 4 3/4 inch long. I feel like when I looked at a lot of reference material from the movies, Kylo Ren's lightsaber side emitters, the blade on those is typically shorter more often than it is longer. So I wanted something a little shorter than what I've seen out there, and this is what I came up with. So stay tuned if you're looking to install these yourself. If you just want to see a demo of what they look like, skip towards the you know, probably the last third of this video, and you can see what they look like lit up. But I promise they look even better lit up in person. Sometimes the camera just doesn't really, you know, pick up the full effect. If you want to buy these, the price for them is down below. You can just contact me. If you're watching this, you probably bought a pair of my unstable side blades. You want to do the install, so I'm going to cover everything that you need, all the tools that you need, the process of how to do it, and then, you know, the finished product at the end. If you're looking to just buy a set of them that are already installed, then you can probably just skip to the end of this video and see what they look like once they're lit up. But if you want to know how I make them, then you can obviously watch this as well. So for tools that you are going to need either some needle nose pliers, small ones, or some good tweezers. You're going to need something to strip wire with, or just your fingernails will work fine if you use soft silicone wire like me. You're going to need some wire cutters or wire snips. You're going to need some scissors, just regular old scissors. You're going to need a box cutter or a razor blade of some type. You're going to need a ruler or a straight edge. And then you're going to need a soldering iron as well. And probably some helping hands and some solder. And don't forget your safety eye pro to keep your eyes protected. And then you're also going to need a hot glue gun. And it can just be a cheap one like this here, which I probably bought at Target for like $5. I think that's it. Now let's go over the supplies that you will need. Obviously, you need your side blade set there. You will need mini Neopixel strips. And by the way, the list for all the parts you need and links to where you can get them so you can know costs and stuff like that is all down below in the description. So you're going to need many Neopixel strips. You're going to need Neopixel connection PCBs. You're going to need PCB holders. For $5 extra, I can include them with your side blades if you want. They're 3D printed. You're going to need a resistor for your PCB, which is either it has to be between 330 and 470 ohm. You're going to need 26 gauge positive and negative wire, and then 30 or 32 gauge colored wire to indicate your data line. Then you will need Scotch shipping tape. The clear comes in a thing like this, shipping tape. You will need standard black electrical tape. You will also need this fancy thin wrapping foam that you wrap dishes in if you're going to ship them in like boxes and move if you're moving. I got it on Amazon, super cheap stuff, like $5 for a whole stack of it. So that's all the tools you'll need, that's all the parts you'll need. Now we will start the process. The first thing you can do is prepare your mini Neopixel strips. Make sure you look at the strips and see you know, which pad on these. There's 3 pads that go down in length, or 3, you know, like lines, you could say, lines of pads. There's G for ground, D for data, and a plus for positive. So be mindful of that when we wire up later. You're gonna need to make sure you have 3 pads open at the beginning, and then you're gonna count 14 pixels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then right after that 14th pixel, you'll take your standard scissors and just snip it off, just like that. Again, make sure you're looking at the directional arrows. You want your power and data to travel up, so you do need a pad there at the beginning to solder to, not at the end. Then at the very, very end, you can use your scissors and you can just kind of snip just the very corner, just to get rid of that sharp corner. Not a big snip, just enough to, you don't want that sharp corner to get caught on anything when you're installing these later in your blades. So next, on the back of one of these, you're gonna completely peel off all the sticky stuff. Not just the brown backing of the sticky stuff, but the sticky stuff itself. I'll show you what I mean. So there's this brown piece, but then there's the actual sticky stuff, and you need that backing to come completely off. So you're gonna take that completely off of one whole side blade there. And by the way, if you're doing 2 blades, you need 4 of these. I already have one set pre-done for the video, but you would need 4 strips that are 14 pixels long. So now on the back of the strip that you have taken the sticky off, you're gonna take a piece of electrical tape, right? And you're gonna put it at the ends with a little bit sticking off. And the purpose of this is to prevent, when you cut into this strip with the scissors, you exposed metal connections there, the positive, the negative, and the data. And you don't want, when you put these back to back, you don't want them touching. These you don't have to worry about, because that's in the middle of the strip where the sticky stuff is, and that is sufficient to cover. But at the ends where it's snipped on both, you don't want those ends to touch. So then once you get that on there, you'll take your razor blade and you're just gonna trim off the excess, like so. Take your time, get it perfect the first time. Get the corners. Now on the start pad here, where you're going to solder up your wires, you can leave excess. You can leave excess right there on the end to cover right there. So once you got those prepped, you can peel the back off of one of them, the one that has the sticky left, just this part, the brown piece, and then you can stick them together. They do not, I repeat, they do not need to be staggered. You're just going to put them completely back to back, as straight and perfect together as you can. Lay them on the table, press down on them, flip them over, press down on them again. You can even stand up, put your weight into it if you want. Now that is done, you can set it aside. Next up, you can gather your wire. You're going to go ahead and start prepping that. You need 4 pieces of positive and 4 pieces of negative that are 1 1/4 inch long. I'm only cutting here 2 here because I've already done one of the blades and I'm just doing the other one for the video, but you'll need you'll need a total of 4 negatives, 4 positives, and then you'll need 4 datas, which will also need to be 1¼ inch long. Set your excess aside. Next, you're going to take your what do you call these things here? I forget. Splicers, I guess. And you're just going to splice off the ends there. Just the ends, just the tip, not too much. The shorter the tips here, the better your solder joint is, the stronger it is whenever you do your soldering, if it's small. Now the little 30 gauge, 32 gauge, you can just use your fingernails if you're using silicone like me. I like to use silicone just because it's flexible and easy to work with. So once you get all those ends spliced off like that, you're going to, twist all of the wire. Set them aside as you go. This is the non-sexy, boring part that just takes time to do. Sometimes I do this stuff so long and I work on this stuff. I used to do it so much my hands would cramp. And my neck muscles get all crampy too. Forgot one of the positives. Also, as you work, guys, it's just good practice to clean your workspace as you go. So as soon as I finish this last one here, I'm going to put away this splicer because I won't need it anymore, which helps me kind of clean off my work area. Then I'm going to get all this debris and trash right here. I'm going to pick it up, throw it away. Next up, I'm going to fire up my soldering iron and I'm going to get together kind of a few things that I need to solder. So while that's heating up, I'm going to need my wires there. I'm going to need my PCB. I'm going to need my resistor and my LED strips that I prepared right before this. Then also you're going to need to take like a razor or your tweezers, and you're going to need to get that resistor out of the little thingy that it comes in. Take your time with the resistor. It's super tiny. You can lose it if you're not careful. They're not expensive, but if you only got one, see how that just popped out of my hand like that and went flying? This is a perfect time to teach that. Now it went flying out of my hand and now I don't see the resistor. Dang it, this always happens to me when I try to make a video. Come on, resistor, where? Oh, I found it. I found it, literally. By the, so lucky, so lucky. So as you can see, they are super tiny. So we're just gonna lay that right there where I can see it. Throw this trash away. My soldering iron is heated up now. So I'm going to kind of try to do this backwards and face it towards the camera, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my positive wires in one clip, my negative wires in the other, and then I'm going to pre-solder or pre-tin or whatever you want to call it the tips. So I do the negatives like that, and then I do the positives. I'm gonna set those down. Then I got the data line ones here. Stick those in a clamp. Pre-solder those ends. Then I'll move this back out of the way. Then I'm going to do the resistor. So I'm just going to do one of these pads first in the middle. There's 2 square pads. Your resistor is kind of like the little bridge between those 2 pads. I just do one first. I pick up the resistor with some tweezers. I set it across there, and I use my soldering iron to heat up that solder I put there. Put the resistor into place. And then once it's there, I solder the other side. Voila. Now I'm going to go ahead and pre-tin the pads here on the PCB. A nice little blob on there. Doesn't have to be a crazy big blob, but you want a little bit of solder on there. I'll show you why here in a minute. Alright, so at this point, I like to do my stuff a little backwards, I think, than some people. I like to install them on the pad first and the strip last. So I'm going to do my data lines right here in the middle. Right. And then I'll do my positives and negatives. Once you're done with that, take this moment to visually inspect each solder joint. Make sure those solder joints look clean, that they look strong and good. Make sure that they're connected right. Make sure your red is going to positive, your color to data, and your black to negative. And then they cross each other like you see here on this particular PCB from the custom saber shop, because they're going to go like this and then like that. So next up, I'm going to do the LED strip itself, just the ends here. Earlier we put these together. I'm trying to do this backwards for the camera. So I'm going to pre-tin these pads. Like so. Then I'm going to flip it over and do the other side. Again, when you're getting ready to connect these, make sure that your positive and negative are all going to the right pads. Even me, guys, sometimes I get in a hurry, I do it backwards, and I've fried boards like that, because that's what will happen. If these were backwards, like if I got positive and negative backwards, and then solder that up, it'll fry your board. Alright, so now at this point, I'm going to just take my PCB like so. Now here you can either use needle nose pliers or the tweezers. I like to use the needle nose pliers because they're a little more sturdy, and I'm going to one at a time solder these up. So we'll do the negative first. Make sure every single one is perfect. Don't settle for less and do something that looks crappy. For the data line, I like to use my tweezers because it's smaller. Then your positive. Visually inspect those three, make sure that they look good, that you don't have any bridges, then flip it over. You can do the same thing on the other side. Connect your negative. Then your data. then you're positive. Take this time again to visually inspect the connections, make sure they look good. And then there you have it. That's your 14 pixel Neopixel LED strip there. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the next step. We need to diffuse these before we put them into the side blade. So for diffusion, you're gonna need your wrapping foam here, you're gonna need your straight edge, and you're gonna need a razor or a box cutter. So or an X-Acto knife. So for these, you're gonna need them to be 4 inches tall, 6 inches long. So I just got a little sheet here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to make this 4 inches tall. So I use my straight edge and I cut it just like I need it there. So then you're gonna lay it down flat. At the top, you're gonna get your clear Scotch tape. You want it to be about 4 inches long. I just kind of eyeball it. And then you're just gonna use like the bottom quarter of that tape to grab it, just like so. Okay, then I flipped it over, and now I'm gonna roll up the LED strip that I just made right here. So I'm gonna lay it in here. Now guys, this part right here can be a little stressful. Just take your time, and you wanna get it perfect. So if it's not perfect, unroll it, do it again. It's okay if you have excess at the top. Just make sure all LEDs are covered. It's hard to get started, but once you get started, it's pretty easy. So use your fingernails, kind of tuck it under, and get it rolling. Make sure it's all wrapped up good. Once you get it going, then I'm going to use my hand up here at the top to kind of hold it down, and then as I'm rolling, I'm going to pull back to kind of stretch it out, if that makes sense, as I go. And I'm going to roll this all the way up. Once I get close to the tape up there, then I'm just going to keep rolling. And when I get to the tape, I'm going to really press down so that that tape sticks. It's going to roll a couple times. Use your weight, flatten it down, get it all stuck. And there we have it. It's nice and wrapped up. At this point, you'll take your scissors. You're very carefully just going to snip away at the top until you're flush and level with that top LED. See, I had a bit of extra up there. See, once you can see the LED like here, then that's perfect. So next up, then you're gonna take your either your PCB holder, whatever type you have. Maybe it's one you bought from the custom saber shop. Maybe you got your 3D printed version like me here. But you're just gonna slide that down through there. Okay, you're gonna snap it into place. So this is where we're gonna test. We're not gonna glue this in yet, but we're gonna test. We're gonna first of all take our 3D printed part here, and we're going to slide this LED strip. If you get it from me, there might be some stringing down on the inside. I don't know if that's coming up on camera. If there is stringing, just take a long it can be like a flat tip screwdriver like this, and I just kind of stick it down in there, and I just kind of twist it and just kind of get some of that stringiness out. I am careful though not to puncture through anywhere, but I just try to get some of that stringiness out. And then I can take my LED strip, I can slide it down inside. And I want to get it as far down as I can go, so I use needle nose pliers or maybe even the tweezers. I can probably use the tweezers actually. And I'm going to grab the base of it there and just kind of push it down as far as I can get it. You want to get it as far down in here as you can, so that you light up the tips as best as you can. There is a certain point though where it stops. It just isn't going to go any further. Now at this point you can test. So you just kind of twist those wires a little bit, and it just kind of sticks in there like so. And this is a good point to stick it in your saber and test. Make sure that they light up. If they don't light up, then you have a problem and you need to start troubleshooting, what you might have wired wrong in here. But I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next step. I know these work. I'm confident in my work. So I'm going to now get my hot glue gun hot. I'm gonna lay some hot glue down on here, and then I'm gonna hold it down like so till it dries, and then the side blade will be done, and I'll give a demo. So as you can see here, I got my hot glue gun going with a little bit of that PCB sticking out there, a little gap. I'm gonna lay down hot glue right there. So I'm just gonna come over like this, just kind of rotate, lay that hot glue on there. Once I get all the way around, I'm just gonna start it with my fingers, press it down. I'm gonna press it down into the table. Careful not to push too hard. You don't want to break anything or scratch the PCB, so you don't want to move it either, but you're just going to push down, give it a few moments, and you're going to let that cool. Then you can blow on a little bit, just to kind of help it cool. While it's cooling, you can go ahead and unplug your hot glue gun. Won't need that anymore. Kind of move it out of the way once it's done. Again, remember to clean up your area as you go. Should have let that dry first. Let the hot glue dry before you clean it up. So once this dries, just use your thumb. You're gonna kind of roll up and down like this. Work your way around it in a circle, roll up and down. You don't wanna force that hot glue off. When it hits the perfect temperature, it'll just roll right off for a nice, perfect, clean finish. Just rolling it, it's getting there. You can hear it start to break a little bit. There it goes, started to break there. Once a spot breaks, you can kind of start to work around there. I'm kind of rushing it, I guess, for the camera. But you just peel the excess off, or roll it off. Like so. And then, voila, your side blade is done. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a hilt up here right now. We're gonna angle the camera up. Or I'm just gonna put the hilt up here. We're gonna put it in and test it. Let me get, hold on one second. So here we have a beautiful KR cross gun. I can't believe I just said that. Cross gun. Cross guard. I'm gonna kill the light, or I'll just turn it down. We're gonna put this in and we're gonna test it. So I like to start it and then stick it in. I'm gonna use a little Allen wrench to tighten down that blade. Set screw. And there we have it. Beautiful side blades. So there you have it. Thank you for purchasing the side blades, and I hope this install tutorial helped you out. One final look. Thank you for watching.